Hello and welcome to My Career, My Future. We are talking about the leadership today. Everything rise and fall because of leadership. So what the leadership looks like for today's industry where it is so competitive because we run people. Without people, how do we actually manage everything? How do we expect anything and everything? What we do, how we do. It's all about the people management. And today we want to understand deep inside one of our very promising industry. All of you know that is RMG. So one of the expat working in Bangladesh last 8 years, and one of the biggest group of Bangladesh as well, and that is Esquire group. And today we want to understand the need for good human resources in this promising industry, how we are walking into this industry, what we could do for this industry's development. We want to understand in depth. So please help me to understand this industry a bit more from his own lens, and because he's the CEO of this group of company and he's working in Bangladesh last 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Mr. KAMAL Munasinghe today to our show. Thank you, Kamal, for your time and effort to share your experience for our young leaders in Bangladesh. So first of all, we want to know that since you are in Bangladesh last 8 years and you are actually contributing and managing a large group of company, Esquire Group. So could you please help us to understand the dynamics of people management and also the organizational development, leadership development. So where do you want to begin?
Right.
It's up to you.
Yeah, okay. It's very prominent that apparel is growing in Bangladesh. It's becoming third in the world, but it was second in the world for last couple of months back. So the focus in the world for apparel in Bangladesh is like huge, and it is growing. And then growing prospects of apparel, and you inevitably look at the people around, because people manage the business. The man behind the machine is important still. So when we look at past few like 3 years, and then when you look at ahead, the 3 years to come, we have seen there is a kind of a change in the game of apparel in Bangladesh. In the sense, into going to detail a little bit, the companies start talking about sustainability one side, companies start talking about the technology and innovation and automation in the other side, and then companies start looking at the people who run the show. So in these three aspects, business is growing, and then there are inevitable challenges beside that. If I talk about innovation, even if I talk about how we're going to do the things in next 3 years, even if I talk about the people who are going to lead the show, the people aspects is prominent.
Correct.
So what I have seen so far, being in the industry in Bangladesh, yes, I was in the industry back in one of the most modern industry in Sri Lanka. So what I've seen, the industry in Bangladesh need the human that industry is looking for today to run for future. So that is where I see apparel industry suffering and finding it very challenging to look for the right fit to the right job, and then right mindset for the right job too. So this is where I feel there is a big gap where industry should focus and the profession should focus to evolve.
So very good point that you mentioned. If you can give us a bit comparison, 5 years before, the kind of resources you needed that moment, and right now, looking into the future, what do you see the difference before and after? Because we talk about the globalization, we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, the man, machine, and all these things. So what did you see earlier, and what do you see now into the people?
Right. The way we did things 5 years back has evolved a lot today. But it would have been better if the people could do something better to evolve themselves. That is what I feel. 5 years back, we could, we may run behind money and capacity build and all these things. But today, If you only run behind money and the capacity build, you will not sustain, because things become more digitalized and things become more like, sustainable. So people start talking about green, people start talking about being environmental friendly today. So our mindset, our entire scope for the future should be aligned with those aspects to be in the business. It's kind of a survival game as far as I can see right now today. If you don't be digitalized, if you don't be environmental friendly, if you align with these two thoughts, you will not be in business in next 3 years. It was not that serious in the last 5 years. Yeah, right. That's what the change I see.
So where is the challenge actually looks like when you recruit a people for your organizational leadership, or also the manufacturing processing plant? So what is the gap today that you see that is actually gives you the challenge?
Yeah, I actually see two things here. The number one is the person who come into this trade today than ever before should have the understanding about what the world is today all about, because world has changed, customer has changed. So if you don't understand the end consumer mindset, and if you don't know what they're thinking and what they're going to buy, anyone come to this trade today will not retain in the industry, that is for sure. And it is just not manufacturing trade anymore. It is a trade where we have to understand the global mindset, global trends, global changes in the industry, and then immediately we have to align with those thought process. Number one. Number two, we have to be really innovative. We have to change our game back in the factory, back in the offices, and actually understand where we can reduce our cost elements, where we can make production more, and the unit price, we call it, the unit price concept should be come down radically to sustain in the business, but still keeping the quality level high. So the expectation of quality and expectation of the price level are like, if we talk about the quality and the price, it is never going parallelly nowadays. Quality goes high, price goes down, and then your organization is going to struggle in next coming years if you don't look at the cost factors. How to look at the cost factors? You have to become more effective and productive in your human nature, and you have to be innovative in your back-end process of the manufacturing yard. If these two things are not aligned, you cannot actually compete in this market anymore. It was not that bad 5 years back. Now it is going to be very radically important in next 3 years to down the line.
Right. Can you say something like this, like if we can analyze the human resources into this industry, like 10 years or 5 years before and right now, the human capital, right, the kind of the nature of the human capital, I mean the intelligence, or I'm talking about like attracting the right talent or brighter talent from the industry before and right now. Do you think that our brighter students, they can now look into this industry as a bigger prospect, where they can groom their leadership, their abilities, and they can perform, they can contribute, they can significantly impact? Because majority of our talent, they are programmed, they want to be doctor, they want to be engineer, they want to the other industry. What do you think about the prospect for the
to answer the question, like, if you look at the trades growing in Bangladesh, what we have to understand in the student level is like where the job market is going to be like. Bangladesh is like apparel. If you talk about apparel, is the biggest contributor for the national GDP, we call it, right? And then that is like huge, and $36 billion today become 50 billion in next 3 to 4 years. That is where the job market is. And the other important factor is the companies right now transforming their business into white collar level. Maybe it was not earlier. The mindset of apparel industry is not that much aligned with the employment for a student's mindset to see that it is our a future job station. But now it is transforming. All the companies are looking for people who are like talented, educated, and very innovative in their mindset to grow with the business. There is a scope to grow, because $36 billion to $50 billion mean another $14 billion, big employment and big management staff requirement, and there is a need of today's people. So that's the most important part. The other important part is actually what I feel very seriously. There is a gap even today. When we look for people, there is a gap today where like we don't get the talent, we don't get the people that we are really looking for the position. Where the gap is we don't feel today's crowd or yesterday or like 3 years back crowd taking the accountability as owners.
Right.
So I want students to feel entrepreneurship when they come to a job. It's no more a monthly paid 8 to 6 job. It's something that your own thing, and you should feel that it is your own thing, and you should feel proud to work for the company, and then only you can perform, and then only you can be accountable. We feel that is really missing in today's students or whoever coming to this trade, and whoever people who take the ownership, I have seen they are growing like nothing, unlike in other industries. I don't see that in pharmaceuticals or any other industry.
Okay.
I don't see
so
that.
let's talk about it more. What I want to bring into with this is like a lot of time our youngsters ask me, I'm coming from science background or coming from arts background.
Yeah.
Do you really need any specific background? Somebody says I'm not coming from the business background, I'm coming from science background. Am I really good fit for this RMG industry, for the garment industry? What do you say to them?
I would strongly mention that here the education line, unless otherwise is very technical, like if you talk about fabric dyeing, we need chemistry background. Unless otherwise it's a kind of a technically driven, entire other trade doesn't mean any literature for us. We don't look at the degree certificate just to see that he's educated or not, that's it. We don't align with our needs for the side of the study, or the alignment of the study. We look at the personality, we look at the perceptions, we look at the individual characteristics, and we moreover look at the entrepreneurial attitude, like what you feel about business. You feel it if you own, like how you feel it, and that is those are the personality. It's more of a personality check, not the certificate check. In interviews we don't normally look at first for certificate. That's the last step of the process.
So that's really good point for the youngsters. You should bear in mind that today this is the industry. They don't look into anymore this certificate and how much the CGPA you have. Rather, they're looking forward how you can perform better, how you can contribute to this organization's growth, how you taking the responsibility, the ownership. That would differentiate you among others. Let's talk about the skill set. And today, those who want to be very innovative, do you think that they can play a big role to your industry, or do you really need the innovative mindset for your industry?
I would say in this way, because today onwards we will get the Gen Z coming into the workforce, I think. So they are already very aggressive people who are looking for new things and already mold into that kind of a mindset, and it's a good point. And the other one is skill development for the trade in technical terms. We take care of it, and I want you guys to, the students to think and how do you improve your personality part of it, because we don't have much time to improve that part.
It's a behavioral part.
Absolutely, that you should understand today's environment, today's business needs, and how the world is growing. This much of aggressiveness I never seen in before. It's very fast. So that personality development part you should take care. We will take care of the skill development for the technical terms, and that is our responsibility to groom you up and give you the opportunity and scope to grow in the business on the job trainings, and those are our responsibilities. But to get a person mold into this kind of climate is their own responsibility.
So that means you look into the character, into the values, right? So that's very good point. Look, today we are such a way poised where actually character and everybody looking the good values, good taking ownership, the ability to run the show, run the business, and taking it as own heart. Let's talk about another very important skills. Today we talk about the creativity, we talk about the problem solving skills, how we handle a situation. Do you think that, the RMG industry, what is the necessities to have the critical problem solving skills and abilities in your industry?
I would say, unlike in other industries, keeping the technicalities aside, RMG is the very good platform for the case studies. Every single day is very challenging in RMG because it's a labor intensive, a lot of labor intensive, labor involvements are there. So wherever the human involvement more, you get problems. So sometimes it's very critical, sometimes medium, sometimes lower. So the people who are in RMG sector today are facing every day in day out new problems. It's a happening trade. We normally say that whoever work in RMG for 5 years cannot work in any other trade, because it's a very happening trade every day. So I believe people who have ability to analyze things, look at in a different way, different angle, have a future in this trade. Because we need a different taste. Now people who work in this in sector 20 years, 15 years may not be able to change into that futuristic mindset. So we need new blood to come in, and new thoughts to come in, and then start talking about industry and look at in a different way. And they also wear clothes, and how do they feel when they wear good clothes, and that says a lot, So then when you transform a material to a product, your thought process is very valuable, how you transform it. So those thought process cannot expect from people who are long term in the business, unless otherwise we do like a lot of training, a lot of grooming up. But the advantage for the new crowd is you are still a good customer, you are still a good buyer in the market, and so why don't you come and transform your thought process into a product and carry it forward, changing your game plans. That's what I strongly believe.
So fantastic. I was hearing from you that a lot of time you're saying the thought and thought process, thinking and mindset. And today everybody actually, a lot of people talks about the skill sets and hard skill set, but you said about the thought process,
attitude,
and mindset and attitude part, which is all the softer part, right? How important it is.
A person actually who has a positive attitude is valuable than I would say a PhD degree. Very important for today's business. The attitude matters actually. Your education, your technical skills, all are okay. This is having a rate, somewhere, but if you have a positive attitude in our trade, you can go up to the highest, most position in the company within a very short period of time, because we have a gap of having a good positive attitude people coming into the trade. So that is a kind of a quick answer for that. Attitude matters much more than anything today in our business.
Absolutely. I remember one quote from Earl Nightingale. He is one of the legendary person that he said, I don't know whoever invented the English alphabet A, the first word. Okay. A is the attitude, and this actually determines the future of any person. Whatever skills anybody could have, but it would be in vain if the attitude is actually not being valid.
It matters a lot. That's very true. True. So definitely true statement. We experience that.
So for your industry, is the people driven, as you said, very labor intensive industry. So the need for good leadership, what do you see and how do you see it today?
Yeah, we have a big opportunity. I would say that there is a massive opportunity in our trade, who comes with a good attitude and who has a futuristic mindset to perform in this industry and take into the next level. And there are more challenges to come into our industry. We need fresh blood to come into the industry and take over the industry and run towards next decades to come and groom this business up to a level, because if the people who knows the subject in apparel, they know that China and Bangladesh, China being the first, Bangladesh being the second, would say a gap is like more than 100 billion. So the 100 billion gap we have to mitigate. We have to narrow it down and winning more business. That need fresh blood with good attitude, with good mindset, and with go-getter mindset. And they have an opportunity in the trade without any doubt. I'm telling you, the good people have very good opportunity and very good earning source too, because we are paying more than the rest of the industry for the good calibers.
Fantastic. Since you're running a big conglomerates of Bangladesh, it's a huge company and huge turnover, huge manpower, huge resources as well. What is your say to our, as you know that our show is basically for our next gen leaders who are basically into the university and they're coming out of the university and looking for the corporate jobs. What is your say based on the experience and based on the futuristic model? What do you want to convey the message to our youngsters?
So my simple message is RMG is no more a traditional tailoring job. RMG has transformed in Bangladesh into a white collar status, and your goals and your scope of future, the occupation is right in front of you in Bangladesh. what you can do is just to have a positive vibe towards the industry, get into the industry with the prospects that you're going to grow together with the industry, and you will have a good future, good earning, and whatever you see that, you know, where you want to be in the future next 10 years down the line, you can make it faster than any other industry in Bangladesh. So have that change mindset, you will have you know, a career in this trade. That's
Absolutely.
What, yeah.
So Bangladesh is actually progressing very fast. We are transforming socially, economically, and digitally as well. And this is the youth who is driving this force today, because 60 to 70% of our population is actually youth today, and this is you. You have the enormous power, possibility, and you have, if you have the passion and hunger to grow, and this is the nation, and this is the industry as well. But if you have the right attitude, right mindset, right thought process, right behavior, this would significantly bifurcate among others 97% of the population who actually lacks this kind of right skill sets. This is the behavior, this is the attitude, and this is the mindset. So get ready with equipping the right skill sets, right mindset, and right behavioral aspect as well. Then you can actually look into the future is yours, because youth is Bangladesh. Thank you, Kamal.
Thank you very much for your time.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Until next time, stay tuned and stay with us. God bless you. I wish you all the very best and success that you deserve.